So, in another turn of events, we somehow got someone really talented and awesome to be on our show. I don't know how we did it. I don't know why he came on, but we got Sam Hargrave to show up.
Didn't even take that much effort.
No, which is incredible because he's such a charismatic and amazing and busy person. He's currently directing a movie written by Joe Russo starring David Harbour and Chris Hemsworth. He has been the stunt performer for Hugh Jackman and for Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Avengers. Second unit director on Endgame. He's
done stunt coordination for a lot of... He did Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, Atomic Blonde, Infinity War, Civil War, Suicide Squad, The Accountant. So many incredible movies.
He's had his beard shaved by two different A-list actors.
You're going to learn who those people were when you listen to our episode. We're not going to gab on for too long. Just listen to us talk with him about all this crazy stuff. Thank you so much, Sam, for sharing.
You're awesome. We love you.
Okay. Sorry if our audio quality is a little rough on that. You can hear Sam fine, and we know that that's why you're really here. Enjoy. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Show.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're very welcome. It's my pleasure.
So we have some questions for you. Yes, I know. So our first question, before we get into the serious questions, I just wanted to ask video where Chris Hemsworth threatened to shave your beard after your new directorial debut, and I wanted to know if he succeeded in doing.
He did. Chris Hemsworth shaved off my beard, but as you can see, I grew another one back. You can't.
It's incredible.
Can't stop the beard. It just keeps on coming back.
Not even the God of Thunder can stop your beard. That's pretty. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Where should we start? We'll get to Superman.
Okay.
We're gonna let's okay. So what's the most dangerous stunt that you've been a part of, either coordinating or actually doing it yourself?
The most dangerous stunt I've ever been a part of. Well, stunts can be inherently dangerous. My goal as a stunt coordinator, as a designer of action, and then as a performer, was always to make those stunts as safe as possible so that you eliminate as much of the danger, because it's a career for people. You know, you don't want to just go do crazy stunt and get hurt and not be able to continue doing great stunts. So I've tried to make things as safe as possible throughout the years, but on Captain America Civil War, I was coordinating and doubling Captain America for this particular stunt. And we designed a bit where Captain America gets propelled by an explosion out of a window over a balcony, and he falls down to the top of one roof, down to a truck, and then down to the ground. So that had a lot of potential dangers in it, just because you're dealing with heights and wires and pyrotechnics. But then working very closely with the Russo brothers and with my stunt team and the special effects team, we were able to rehearse and design the set in such a way that a lot of the dangers were eliminated. But then at some point, you just have to, jump, and gravity takes over, and hopefully your experience and air awareness helps you, survive the fall. And fortunately, for me and for the movie, I did.
You want to ask him something?
Sure.
So, how's the quality of the audio? You guys getting that okay? Or is it breaking up at all?
It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
It's cutting out a little bit, but it's salvageable.
Okay. All right. Great.
So I'm curious. Stunts. What's the longest a stunt has ever taken? Were there any particularly difficult stunts to get done that just you have to keep doing it over and over again?
Do you mean in preparation or in execution, like how many takes it was, or how long it took to prepare? What or both?
Execution.
Yeah, well, I mean, generally, you're trying with bigger stunts like that fall, for example, that I just described to you. I did that once. We had 7 cameras on it, and we did it once. And the more you repeat action that is difficult or dangerous, the more the chances go up for injuries to occur. But I think there was in Atomic Blonde, we were doing a fight sequence that we did, and because there were series of long takes all stitched together to make it look like one shot for over 7 minutes long. There was a take in there, a sequence that took us with Charlize probably 21 or 22 takes to achieve the final product. And luckily it wasn't when, my brother or Greg Rementer, my friend, were falling down the stairs. It was more of a fight beat where it was mostly kicking and punching and whatnot. But yeah, 20 was, and that was 22 times I think it took to get one of those takes correct.
Is that the scene about in your Wired video? With
Yes.
the fridge and okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, the Wired video about the fridge, that was the same movie, but that video was about the fridge. The one I'm referring to was the stairwell, where if you look on YouTube,
yeah.
there's a side-by-side where they talk about, or there's an edit of the stunt team doing the action, and then that real movie. It's like a cool side-by-side video you can see on YouTube.
Oh yeah, no, I really like that movie.
Glad you did.
That's what I would want a Black Widow movie to be like the one that we're getting. Is kind of like Atomic Blonde. So.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we'll see. When I know a lot of the people that worked on it, and hopefully they're really great with action. So hopefully they deliver a kick butt movie.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite actor to coordinate for?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I've worked with a lot of great actors in my career. I think there's probably 3 that have made me look the best, which means they're very physically skilled, and when you give them choreography or stunts to do, they do it, and sometimes better than the stunt people do. We just talked about Charlize Theron in the Atomic Blonde. She was extremely hardworking and would take the choreography and make it even better than we designed. Also, I just directed a movie for Netflix and worked with my friend Chris Hemsworth. He's another one, the God of Thunder himself, who is extremely talented physically. And so he was, you hopefully when that movie comes out on April 24th, there's a shameless plug for my own movie. The movie's called Extraction. It'll come out on Netflix April 24th. Chris Hemsworth is kicking butt, but hopefully you'll get to see some really cool action in there. And the third, I would say Hugh Jackman was also a pleasure to work with. One, because of his background in theater and dance. He has an amazing mind for memorizing and performing choreography. So I think they're also, all 3 of those individuals are just good people. So that also is the reason why I think they'd be my top 3. And again, I'm sure I am leaving some amazing people off of that list, but those are the first 3 that come to mind.
Do you have any specific type of stunt that you either coordinate or do?
Something specific, my specialty, you mean?
Yeah, just any stuff specifically, I guess, enjoy doing the most or coordinating the most.
My trademark growing up through the business were fight scenes and acrobatic falls. That was kind of my thing as a performer. Now, as a coordinator, I still have an affinity for martial arts action, for fight scenes. I really enjoy that, the dance of it all, the hiding doubles, ways to tell a story with the kicks and punches and throws. But I enjoy the challenge of all different kinds of stunts, because there's a lot more risk involved when you're working with vehicles at high speeds, doing car chases or motorcycle chases. So that's a fun challenge, trying to make those things look great but keep people safe. But I think my heart is with the martial arts action stuff for sure.
So you've doubled for Captain and you've been in X-Men Origins and all these crazy movies. Are there any big hero moments, like huge action beats where it's actually you in the suit green, like specifically?
Yeah, there are. Not so much in the Origins. I was doubling actually Liev Schreiber and Taylor Kitsch, so I was Sabretooth and Gambit doubles. My buddy Daniel Stevens, who I just had breakfast with this morning, is a good friend of mine. He was the Hugh Jackman double he started on that movie, and then for the rest of his since. But yeah, I was there's a lot of times when Captain America, I won't say whenever, because there have been a number of doubles throughout the years, but in Avengers, the first Avengers, there's a moment where there's an explosion and Cap gets blown. Again, I always end up in explosions, but he gets blown out of the bank where he's saving these people, and he falls onto the car in the streets. That was me. There was a bit where he jumps off the bridge and lands on this bus that explodes, and then he flips off of it. That was me. There were actually times where they would shoot me even with the mask off because I looked enough like Chris Evans. But in Civil War, like there was a lot of moments when, not the front shot because that's him, but when he's holding the helicopter back whenever it wasn't his face, that's me holding the helicopter. So I've been very fortunate to be involved with a lot of superhero iconic moments, and both in front of and behind the camera. Then in Infinity War, when Thor lands on the battlefield for Wakanda against all the Outriders, when he lands and shows up with Rocket and Groot with the axe, I was able to shoot that as a second unit director, so I was able to photograph that. And then I directed the Cap versus Cap fight in Endgame. So I've been extremely fortunate, both as a performer and then as a director, to be involved in some very iconic Marvel moments.
Oh, that's incredible. Those are all like when I think of those movies, those are some of the standout moments to me, especially that Thor entrance in Endgame.
Yeah.
Infinity War. Every time that I'm watching that with anybody and that moment happens, everyone's like freaking out and they're so excited. And that's just
5 things you think of when Infinity War.
Yeah, like it's in a movie that has so many events, that's just one that always stands out to me. Is like, wow.
Yeah. So, I've been really fortunate to be closely involved with a lot of those moments. So I'm very fortunate.
So I know you are really big on safety during stunts, but is there any, I guess, accidents really bad while you've been either doing stunts or for a stunt you coordinated?
No, I fortunately there things happen, but I've never been involved myself with a very serious accident, and no show that I've ever been coordinating on has ever a serious accident occurred. People have gotten hurt. There was I was working doing, I guess we were on Winter Soldier, and my friend Heidi Moneymaker, who was a stunt double for Black Widow for many years, she and I were doing a stunt where we were diving through a window, and during that stunt she cut her forehead really badly. She still has a scar to this day. It's about 2 to 3 inches long on her forehead, and I was right beside her going through the window. I had some cuts as well, but it was just sometimes things go wrong as much as you prepare for them. But I've never been, knock wood, involved in a serious accident, because I try to be extremely cognizant of safety, and it can be challenging when you're coordinating and when you're performing. You always want to push the boundaries and make these action sequences more and more exciting for people like yourselves who are there in the theaters just waiting to be entertained. And it's challenging to be safe, but also to be inventive and to push people, yourself included, to the limit of safety, but still remain safe. So I try very hard to keep things safe on the set.
Do you have a favorite movie that you've worked on? Either one where you're just like, the best stunts I've ever coordinated, or just as a finished product, you're like, that's a fantastic film for a number of reasons.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the action, the oneer we call it that we did in Atomic Blonde. That's one sequence that I've done that I'm very proud of, and also the film. There's a lot of different sequences, but I think the film Endgame, just as a movie and what it did for the Marvel franchise, for all these characters, to say that I worked on that and had a big hand in that is a really proud moment for me in my career. Let's see, smaller movies, because those are both pretty big movies. Well, I just directed a movie, like I said, for Netflix that I'm very proud of, and excited to see how people react to it. But being able to work with your friends and family is always a bonus. I try to surround myself with positive people, talented people, and when those people happen to be your really close friends and family, then it makes it even more special. So I think that's one of the reasons why Endgame, and Infinity War as well, but Endgame and Atomic Blonde is my brother was working with me on those shows, and he was one of the characters in the stairwell, one of the people that fought Charlize, and he was also the main Captain America double in Endgame. So working closely with him through the years has been a really great experience.
So you have a favorite Marvel movie that you weren't really...
Oh, one that I wasn't a part of. Yeah, I mean, probably. Well, there's two that's gonna stand out to me. I loved the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, just as far as how different it was, what it did to the Marvel universe, because it was just such a different point of view on things. And then I also thought that Black Panther was a very significant movie, just for culturally and cinematically. So, and I had a hand in, helping on stuff, but I wasn't employed or on set. So those are two I would say that would be top of my list for movies at Marvel that I wasn't involved in.
Do you have a favorite Marvel character, either in the movies or just in general?
Growing up, I was always a Spider-Man fan. He, he's just very relatable. And but Spider-Man and Captain America were my two favorite Marvel characters growing up. So to have been able to do movies like Civil War, where Marvel reintroduced Spider-Man into the Marvel universe, and also had a scene with Captain America, was a huge moment for me. I was always a fan of those two characters.
You got hard, kid. Where you from?
Queens?
Brooklyn.
So when you think of action movies and like top tier stunts, what movie or what movies come to mind?
Oh, like top tier, like some of the best action movies?
Yeah. Best stunt work or just best action movies of all time?
That is a very difficult question. I think some of my favorite, that's my opinion though, I can't say best action movies of all time, but some of my favorite movies, truthfully, over the last couple of years, I think what they've done with the Mission Impossible franchise has been extremely impressive. And I know those guys over there, they're really pushing the boundaries and really doing stuff that I like, which is very practical stunts. A lot of the times we tried in Marvel to stay as practical as we could, but you're dealing with a lot of computer generated characters, so there's only so much you can do. But I really like the feeling and the I guess the inherent danger of practical stunts that they really portray well in the movies with with Tom Cruise. And then I think going back a little further, I was always a Jackie Chan fan. So some of my favorite Jackie Chan films were Police Story, and then Police Story 2. I love The Legend of Drunken Master, Project A. Western action movies. I'm a huge fan of Die Hard and
same here.
and True Lies. Like, I think those are two. And then, Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Part 3, I think there's some really, really good action movies. At least ones that I grew up watching and really enjoyed.
Yeah, no, I agree. With especially with Die Hard and the newer Mission Impossible movies, that on the edge of my seat for like the last hour of Fallout, I think. Like, that's just
Fallout was phenomenal.
and Henry Cavill in that movie. Yeah. So how did you get started in stunt work?
I blame Jackie Chan. Respectfully, I love his work, love the guy. I started doing, martial arts when I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and through that was introduced to Hong Kong cinema. Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Sammo Hung, Yuen Biao, Donnie Yen, all that, the great martial arts actors of the 80s and 90s, and I would watch these movies, try to copy what they did. And for some reason, I was always the most entertained. Jackie was great, and all the leads were great, but what their stuntmen would do, how they would fight and fall and do these insanely acrobatic stunts, I was extremely inspired and entertained by. And my brother we'd mess around, and then my good friend Thayer Harris and we'd always try to recreate these fight scenes. And that led me to film school, where I learned about writing and directing and made a lot more short films. And then I got good, I guess, at fighting and falling down. So I moved to Hollywood in 2004, and then got my first big job in 2005, and the rest is history.
So, speaking of film, should we...
So, I know I am a big fan of Superman Unplugged, and I just wanted to know if I could ask you about it. How you got involved in that project, and
Superman
just anything.
Unplugged. Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a blast from the past. That was. That's hilarious. I love that you guys know about that. That's fantastic. Eric Waters was the writer director of that, and that was one where I got to LA. I think I'd only been there a couple years, and I think it was either Craigslist or Now Casting, some kind of online website thing, I believe. I auditioned for the role of Clark Kent, and got the role based on my audition. And then I met Eric. I thought his idea was really cool to mix. I still think it's cool. And at Warner Brothers, if you're listening, I think the idea of blending the world of Superman and the DC comic books with the Matrix is a mind-blowingly interesting idea that has a lot of potential. So if you're listening, I would move on that quickly. But yeah, so I met Eric Waters, really cool guy, and then he asked. We talked about the action, and there was a team of guys that I was working with, Real Kick with Tim Storms and Fernando Chin and Alex Wynn, and I brought them in, and they helped with all the stunt and fight stuff, and we had a great time doing it. Eric and I still chat. He just sent me a new script he wrote recently, and it's great to keep up with old friends like that in the business and try to support each other. But it makes me smile that you guys saw that, for one, but also remember it and appreciate the idea, because I think you do, as fans of comic book kind of stories and movies. It's a pretty cool idea.
It's a pretty cool idea. I don't know if you saw the Lego Batman movie, but Smiths are in that, so that's as close as we've gotten. I like to think that they saw Superman Unplugged and were like, "That's a good idea. Let's throw that in there."
Hey, if they did, that's fantastic, and I'm sure Eric would be flattered.
In your opinion, what do you think it takes to be not just a stunt performer, but a great stunt performer?
Excellent question. To me, the difference between a good stunt performer and a great stunt performer is acting, truthfully, because there's a lot of physically talented people out there who can do the moves and get the work done, and it looks cool. But the ones who are able to embody the character and move the way the character would, they are the ones that separate themselves from just the run-of-the-mill stunt performer. Because when you are the double for these actors or playing these characters, you're the physical representation of this character. You're that character as much as they are. So you need to understand their motivations, their desires, where they come from, where they're going, and all the things that go into acting, and put that into your physicality. And I think that there's a really, I mean, the film industry is rife with a lot of great stunt performers, but I think to me that's the difference that I have seen through the years, is the ones that understand performing, that understand acting, they are able to take their game to the next level.
Did you see Upon a Time in Hollywood, the new Quentin Tarantino film?
I did.
I just wanted to know, as a stunt performer and a coordinator, what was your opinion on the depiction of stunt people in that movie? Because Brad Pitt is a stuntman, and I mean, when I think of stuntmen in entertainment, that's the first one in my mind now.
Yeah, I think what they did a great job of is capturing a time period. That was the stunt world in that era of Hollywood. So I would say they did a great job with that, and it was in that time frame, it was pretty darn true to life. Tarantino always takes liberties with, his movies, which is great. It gives his specific point of view. I really liked the relationship that the stunt performer, the stunt double, had with his actor, and that, him getting a little older, and them, that is a very real thing that happens quite a bit. Some of the stuff, some of the looseness with, communication or safety or whatever, that's just, Hollywood movie stuff. But I thought they did a really good job of developing the relationship that can happen between an actor and his stunt double. And, my good friend Daniel Stevens has that kind of relationship, or similar, with Hugh Jackman. And then I know Bobby Holland Hanton, who is Chris Hemsworth double. They have a great relationship like that. So I think they did a very good job of capturing the relationships. And then also the stereotypical stuntman who's a little bit of a thrill seeker and whatnot. And again, that era was more common to have that mentality towards stunts. But nowadays, I think it's changing a little bit more. The knowledge that stunt performers have is growing, as far as cinematic knowledge and what is needed to not just be an athletic person who's told what to do, when to do it. They understand the process, they're the editing, the shooting, and what it means to be a good performer. And I think that's a really cool thing for the action industry, is for the knowledge of the process to continue to grow.
You've done a lot of movies with some pretty big names. So when you think back to, when you just think back to those movies, are there any particular memories that you remember really fondly about any actor?
Yeah, I mean, I have been extremely fortunate to work with a lot of great and talented actors in this business. I think I've kind of modeled my career on a little bit more of a, I don't want to say professional, as if others aren't, but I never really, socialized outside of work with actors and, really with other stunt people, because I feel like my personal life is kind of my personal life, and I kind of keep that a little bit separate. But on set, I mean, I can go on for days. Like, you find any stunt performer, any stunt coordinator who's been, any person in the business is going to have stories just that go on. Like, if you asked about, Hugh Jackman, or if you asked about Chris Evans, I've got all kinds of stories and fond memories. I mean, that little, I guess, tidbit, the fun stuff that happens on set, you guys are aware of it just because of the, I guess it's on Instagram, but working with Chris Hemsworth and him being willing to shave off my beard is a pretty, that's a pretty fun thing. I did a similar thing back in 2014 with Ben Affleck. This beard comes and goes a lot. Like, it grows, someone shaves it grows, someone shaves it. So the first time we had a celebrity shave it was Ben Affleck. Batman gets the first, he gets the medal for the first shaving of Sam Hargrave's beard. And it was just, it was just a fun moment. It was, because he and I had a great relationship, a good rapport, and for him to be willing to do something as random and goofy as shaving another man's beard was very cool. It was very fond memories of that moment.
Can I ask movie you were working with Ben Affleck on when he got the chance to shave your beard?
The Accountant.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I helped. I was stunt coordinating and second unit directing that, so all the action stuff I was helping my friend Gavin O'Connor, who directed the movie, helping him with.
Do you have a favorite director to work with?
A favorite director to work with?
Yes.
Favorite. That's also great question. Tough one to answer. I've worked with so many great directors through the years. I think the three. I mean, I guess you say four because the Russos are a team, but I've worked very closely with Joe and Anthony Russo on many films. I really enjoy working with those guys because they trust my opinion and my creative thought process, and they let me do what I do well and trust that I'll do my job and make the movie better. I really appreciate that about them. I worked very closely for 3 movies with Francis Lawrence, who directed the Hunger Games franchise, and learned a lot about filmmaking, about just the technical side of things, but then also his demeanor on set is so calm and relaxed. I've tried to incorporate that into my repertoire as a director of some of the things that I like emulate from other directors. And then Gavin O'Connor, I've done 2 movies with him. We did Warrior together and then The Accountant. And I respect his aggressive pursuit of truth in the characters and story, and how passionate he is. I've seen him behind the monitors get so into a take that he's crying with the character. He's watching, he's experiencing every moment fully, and he's so emotionally invested in the material that's fantastic and inspiring. So I would say those 4. Again, I'm leaving some amazing names off the list, but those are the first 4 that come to mind.
So I'm sure you've done different stunts, but if you could only pick one, what would your favorite stunt that you've ever done be?
Oh, probably directing a movie for Netflix. No, I'm kidding. I think the physical, all kidding aside, physical stunt that I'm probably most proud of, I think I mentioned it earlier, and this is because, not that I haven't done other cool stuff, but probably because from conception to design to execution, it was my idea, and I had a hand in all of it, and the result was spectacular, I thought. And then I won 2 Taurus Awards, which is the World Stunt Award, like a SAG for stunts. Oh, sorry, like an Oscar for stunts, if there was one. They have our own thing called the Taurus World Stunt Awards, and I got 2 awards for that stunt. It was when the explosion happens and Cap gets blown over the railing and hits the roof, hits the truck, hits the ground. And I remember sitting in the room, and they described it in the script. It was just explosion, blows Captain America out a window, and he falls to the pavement. And I was like, is there something in the room saying, could we make that a little more exciting? Do you guys mind if we take that up a notch? And they're like, no problem. They're the Russos. We're like, let's see if we can make it better. We're always down to hear it. So I started coming up with ideas, and had always wanted to do something like this in a big movie. Very Jackie Chan, I think, of hitting multiple things on a fall on the way down. And so I pitched it to them. They liked it. And then I was working. There was no balcony at the location they chose. So I had to get with construction, and we had to build a balcony and with the right angle. And then we built into the balcony. We built the padding. We put some thin padding in there, not too soft so that you would land and get stuck, but not so hard that you'd fall. It was like, 8 or 10 foot fall and hurt your back. So we put a little padding in there, and then we measured out the distance of the truck, and then the padding on top of the truck, and just all of the design elements involved. And then to be up there and to jump off of that condor, that lift that was up there for me to hold on to before falling. And once I hit the ground, that rush of we did it, like this thing we've been talking about for months, we've done it. That was a really proud moment if I had to pick one.
Well, that's really interesting that you brought that up, because I know before recording we were talking about how we don't know that much, but we were assuming that when you're handed a script, it's like these 2 people are fighting and this is the end Is it like that, or do you have more direction than, like, how much freedom do you have to come up with the coordination?
That always depends on the writers and the director of the movie. Some writers know that they've got a lot more stuff to cover, and they know that they're going to hire second unit directors and stunt coordinators to come in and design everything. So they'll write, they fight, and that's it. Other times people have very specific things that they want to see, and they'll write out super specifically, like, he kicks this person's left knee with their right knee, and then he's just his right elbow to hit him in the jaw. So it's very specific sometimes. Other times it's very open to interpretation. My job then as an action designer is to go to the director and or writer and say, how married to this version of the action are you? Is this exactly what you want to see, or can we expand on that? Usually they say you can expand on it, and they'll point out specific moments that they want. They say, at this moment it can be whatever move, but I need him to feel defeated and then make a comeback. Or at this moment he needs to make sure he grabs this guy's wallet because he has to see the photo of his wife for the next scene. So sometimes they'll pepper specific story moments throughout the action, but usually the directors that I've worked with are very open to my ideas.
Yeah, it is for me too. But I don't want this to end. I feel like there's still so much I have to ask.
Well, you'll have to. We'll have to do a part 2. You can call this part 1. And, this is like a little introductory, a little tasting, and then we'll do part 2. You guys are fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. There's a lot of people that
thank
have.
you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. A lot of people that have helped me through the years, given me advice or answered my questions, and so if I can give back in any way to the filmmaking community at large, I'm happy to do it.
Oh, that's incredible. We were pretty shocked that you agreed to do this. We've only done one other interview before, but very excited because it's such a unique opportunity.
Your second interview.
Yeah, hopefully we can get you back for a third someday soon.
That'd be great.
We have a lot more to ask. But thank you so much for talking with us. This was so much fun. And yeah, no, you do incredible work. Super excited for your film with Chris Hemsworth coming out. Is that
looking forward to all the stuff you do in the future? Definitely.
Is that written by Joe Russo? Did I read
correct.
The movie you're directing?
You are correct.
That's incredible.
Joe Russo wrote the script, and then while we were shooting Endgame, he, I don't know why, but he thought it would be a good idea for me to direct the film, and I will be forever grateful for him entrusting me with his story. And when Chris Hemsworth jumped on board, I was like, man, this is going to be like working with family. It was a really great experience. Yeah,
no, that's going to be really exciting. That's coming out so soon. Can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you again for talking with us.
Can't thank you enough for doing this.
Good
You're
luck
very welcome.
with everything. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
All right, thanks guys. You be well.
Thank
All
you.
the best. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was our interview with Sam Hargrave. Maybe you should do the talking, because this is the 4th time we've recorded this outro.
Yeah, because Gabe is bad at talking, but so am I.
I'm bad at talking?
Yeah, Gabe is bad at talking. Thank you so much to Sam Hargrave for coming on the show.
Thank you, Sam Hargrave. You're incredible. Franny fell off his chair because he was so blown away by how amazing you are.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you for doing that. Find him on Instagram at the Sam Hargrave. He's incredible. Thank you again. I'm so sorry, Franny.